Admiral Lirelay stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the last human defense station burn in the darkness of space. Her silver hair caught the light from the tactical displays as she smiled with satisfaction. The final battle for Proxima Station had ended just as she had planned. The human colony ships were destroyed, and their defensive platforms were nothing but floating metal and fire. Zarathis approached her with graceful steps. The alien woman's crystalline skin shifted, from deep blue to bright green, showing her excitement about their victory. Her tall frame moved with the fluid motion of her species as she handed Lirelai the battle report. The data showed complete destruction of all human military assets in the Outer Rim territories. Admiral, the humans have been eliminated from this sector, Zarathis said in her melodic voice. Our forces report no survivors from their military installations. The few civilian ships that escaped are running toward the inner systems, but they pose no threat to our operations. Lirelai nodded as she reviewed the numbers on her display. Over 200 Alliance ships had participated in the campaign against the human colonies. The Elven fleet had performed perfectly alongside their alien allies. Every human settlement from here to the Perseus Arm had fallen within 3 standard months. The humans had fought bravely, but their technology was no match for the advanced weapons of the Galactic Alliance. What about their homeworld? Lirelai asked as she turned to face her tactical officer. Have our scouts reported anything from the Sol system? Zarathis consulted her datapad before responding. Our long-range sensors show minimal activity around Earth. A few patrol ships and some commercial traffic, but nothing that suggests a major military presence. Intelligence believes the humans concentrated most of their fleet in the colonies. We just destroyed. The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, processing the aftermath of the battle. Elven officers, with their pointed ears and graceful movements, coordinated with alien crew members of various species. The Alliance had functioned as a united force for over 1,000 years. 12 different races had joined together to maintain peace and order throughout the galaxy. Humans were the first species in centuries to challenge their authority. Captain Lisa Morgan sat in the detention area of the ship, watching the celebration through a small window. The human prisoner had been captured during the first assault on the border colonies. She had commanded a small frigate that tried to defend a mining station. Her brown hair was messy, and her uniform was torn, but her eyes still held defiance. She had spent weeks trying to warn the Alliance commanders that they were making a terrible mistake. Lirelai walked to the detention area to speak with the human captain. She wanted to understand why these people had been so stubborn in their resistance. The Elven Admiral had studied human psychology, but their behavior still puzzled her. Most species surrendered when faced with overwhelming force, but humans seemed to fight harder when the odds were against them. Your colonies are destroyed, Captain Morgan, Lirelai said through the transparent barrier. Your people fought well, but this war is over. Earth will surrender when they learn what happened here. Lisa looked up at the tall elven woman with tired eyes. You have no idea what you have done. The colonies were just the beginning. Earth has been preparing for this day for over a century. You attacked our children and our farmers. You have awakened something that should have stayed sleeping. Lirelai found the human's words amusing. Your species is brave, Captain, but courage cannot defeat superior technology. We have weapons that can crack planets and shields that can stop stellar radiation. What could Earth possibly have that we have not already encountered? You will find out soon enough, Lisa replied as she turned away from the window. The Alliance fleet began forming up for the journey to the Sol system. Ships from 12 different worlds moved into formation with practiced precision. Elven vessels with their elegant curves flew alongside the geometric craft of the crystal beings. Insectoid ships with multiple arms and sensors joined with the massive carriers of the aquatic species. Each race brought their own advantages to the Alliance military. Zarathis coordinated the fleet movements from her position at the tactical station. Her crystalline skin had shifted to a calm purple color as she focused on the complex logistics of moving so many ships. The Alliance had never assembled such a large force for a single campaign, but the human resistance had been stronger than expected. They wanted to make sure Earth surrendered quickly and completely. Admiral, we are receiving congratulations from the home worlds, an Elven communications officer reported. The Council of 12 is pleased with our progress. They are, Already discussing how to divide the human territories among the member species, Lyra Lee felt pride in her success. The campaign had taken longer than originally planned, but the results were exactly what the Alliance had wanted. Humans would no longer be able to expand into space claimed by other species. Their aggressive colonization efforts had threatened the careful balance of power that kept peace in the galaxy. Reports came in from across human space showing the complete collapse of their military structure. Every major installation had been destroyed or captured. Alliance forces were landing on human colonies to establish occupation governments. The few human ships that had escaped the battles were scattered and running toward Earth with news of their defeat. "Set course for Earth," Lirelay commanded. "We will finish this war at their homeworld. Once Earth surrenders, the human threat will be ended forever." The massive Alliance fleet turned toward the Sol system. Hundreds of ships moved through hyperspace, carrying the combined might of 12 advanced civilizations. Their sensors showed no signs of significant human military presence ahead. Intelligence reports suggested Earth had only a small home defense fleet and some orbital platforms. The war would be over within days. Zarathis watched the stars blur past as they traveled toward Earth. Her species had been part of the Alliance. For 800 years, they had helped maintain galactic peace through strength and unity. The crystal beings believed that cooperation between species was the only way to prevent the wars that had torn the galaxy apart in ancient times. "Do you think the humans will surrender when they see our fleet?" she asked Admiral Lyrelai. "They will have no choice," Lyrelai replied confidently. "Earth is isolated and alone. Their colonies are gone and their fleet is destroyed. Even humans are not foolish enough to fight a battle they cannot win." The Alliance fleet continued its journey toward Earth, carrying the confidence of certain victory. Deep in the Sol system beyond the orbit of Pluto, massive shapes moved through the darkness of space. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood in the command center of the EDS Leviathan, watching her crew make final preparations for deployment. The bridge was built into the heart of the enormous ship, where thick armor and advanced shields could protect the most important systems. Red lighting bathed the tactical displays, showing the positions of 12 massive vessels. Chief Engineer Amy Torres worked at her station, checking the status of weapons that had never been tested in real combat. Her fingers moved quickly across the control panels as she verified the quantum torpedo arrays and gravity manipulation drives. Each system had been built using technology that Earth had developed in secret over the past century. The colonies had served as cover while humanity's greatest minds worked on projects that the Galactic Alliance had never imagined. "Admiral, all Dreadnoughts report ready for combat operations," Amy announced. "The adaptive armor systems are online and the gravity drives are operating at full capacity. We have enough ammunition for extended engagement and all crews are at battle stations." Kate nodded as she reviewed the tactical situation on her command display. Each Dreadnought was over 3 kilometers long and carried firepower equivalent to an entire Alliance battle group. The ships had been built in hidden shipyards throughout the Sol system, using resources from the asteroid belt and the moons of Jupiter. Construction had taken 50 years, but the results were beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Captain Nicole Hayes commanded the EDS Titan from her position on the secondary bridge. Her ship was the newest of the Dreadnought fleet, with experimental weapons that could punch through any known shielding technology. She had trained for this moment since graduating from the Naval Academy 15 years ago. Every simulation and exercise had prepared her crew for the war they knew would come eventually. "Captain, our sensors are tracking the Alliance fleet," reported her tactical officer. "They are still 3 days out from Earth, but their formation suggests they expect an easy victory. Intelligence estimates over 200 ships in their combined force." Nicole smiled as she looked at the display showing the enemy fleet. The Alliance commanders had no idea what they were flying into. Human intelligence had been watching their campaigns against the colonies and studying their tactics. Every battle had provided valuable information about Alliance capabilities and weaknesses. The sacrifice of the outer settlements had been necessary to maintain the deception. Commander Beth Williams worked from her station aboard the EDS Leviathan, coordinating intelligence-gathering operations throughout the system. Her team had been monitoring Alliance communications for months, learning about their command structure and battle doctrine. The crystal beings used predictable formation tactics, while the elven ships relied too heavily on energy shields. Each species in the Alliance had strengths, but also weaknesses that could be exploited. Admiral, we are intercepting Alliance transmissions, Beth reported. They believe Earth has only a token defense force. Their commanders are already making plans for occupation and territorial division. They have no idea about the Dreadnought fleet. Kate felt satisfaction knowing that decades of careful planning were about to pay off. Earth had deliberately kept its true military capabilities hidden from galactic view. The colonies had been defended by older ships and conventional weapons, to maintain the illusion that humanity was a primitive species. Meanwhile, the real fleet had been built in secrecy, using advanced technology that surpassed anything the Alliance possessed. The 12 Dreadnoughts had been positioned throughout the outer system where they could not be detected by long-range sensors. Each ship carried a crew of 5,000 specialists who had trained for years to operate the complex weapons systems. The gravity manipulation drives allowed the massive vessels to move with surprising speed and agility. Adaptive armor could learn from incoming attacks and adjust its molecular structure to provide better protection. Amy Torres continued her systems checks while monitoring the weapons that would soon change the balance of power in the galaxy. Quantum torpedo arrays used phase variance technology to bypass conventional shields and detonate inside enemy hulls. Gravity cannons could crush ships by creating localized space distortions. Point defense systems used directed energy to destroy incoming missiles and fighters before they could reach their targets. Engineering reports all weapon systems are functioning perfectly, Admiral, Amy announced. The quantum torpedoes are loaded and the gravity cannons are charged to full power. We can engage the enemy fleet at maximum range or wait for them to close distance. Kate studied the tactical displays showing the approaching Alliance force. Intelligence suggested they would drop out of hyperspace near Mars and form up for an assault on Earth. The Dreadnought fleet would wait until the enemy was committed to their attack before revealing themselves. Surprise would be crucial to achieving maximum effect in the opening moments of battle. Captain Nicole Hayes received updates from her crew as they prepared the EDS Titan for combat. The ship had been designed specifically to engage multiple targets, simultaneously using advanced targeting systems and automated weapons control. Her tactical officer reported that all firing solutions were calculated and ready for immediate execution when the Admiral gave the order to attack. "Captain, the crew is ready," her first officer reported. "All departments have confirmed battle stations and damage control teams are standing by. The men and women aboard this ship know what we are fighting for. Earth will not fall to alien invaders." Nicole looked around her bridge at the faces of officers who had dedicated their lives to protecting humanity. Many of them had family on Earth or in the colonies that had been attacked by the Alliance. This battle would determine whether humans remained a free species or became subjects of alien rule. There could be no retreat and no surrender. Commander Beth Williams tracked the Alliance fleet as it approached the inner solar system. Her intelligence network had provided detailed information about enemy ship capabilities and command personnel. Admiral Lyralai was known for aggressive tactics, while her tactical officer Zara Thys preferred careful planning. The combination made them effective commanders but also predictable in their responses. "Admiral, the Alliance fleet is maintaining formation," Beth reported. "They show no signs of detecting our presence. Long-range sensors indicate they are preparing to drop out of hyperspace near Mars as predicted. We will have approximately 4 hours to position ourselves before they reach Earth orbital space." Kate made final adjustments to the deployment plan as she prepared to give the order that would begin humanity's first major interstellar war. The colonies had been the opening moves in a game that would determine the future of human expansion into the galaxy. Earth had chosen to appear weak while building strength that could challenge the established order. The Dreadnought fleet began moving into position as the Alliance ships approached. 12 massive vessels activated their gravity drives and accelerated toward the enemy formation. Advanced stealth systems kept them hidden while they closed distance. The element of surprise would last only until the first shots were fired, but those initial moments would determine the outcome of the battle. "All ships report ready for engagement, Admiral," Amy Torres announced from her engineering station. "The fleet is in position and waiting for your orders. Earth stands ready to defend itself." Kate Sullivan looked at the tactical display one final time before giving the command that would change galactic history. The Alliance had underestimated humanity for the last time. Earth's patience had come to an end, and the galaxy was about to learn that humans could be far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Admiral Lyrelay felt confident as her massive fleet dropped out of hyperspace near the red planet Mars. The Alliance formation was perfect with over 200 ships arranged in battle groups according to species and capability. Elven vessels took the center position while crystal ships provided sensor coverage and insectoid fighters formed screening forces. The combined firepower was enough to level planetary surfaces and crack moons in half. Zarathis worked at her tactical station, coordinating with fleet commanders throughout the formation. Her crystalline skin had shifted to a bright gold color, indicating excitement and anticipation. The crystal being had studied human defensive patterns during the colony wars and expected minimal resistance from Earth's home fleet. Intelligence. Reports suggested only basic orbital platforms and a few patrol ships defended the human homeworld. Admiral R sensors show Earth ahead with standard defensive satellites and some small craft, Zarathis reported. No signs of major military installations or hidden fleet assets. The planet appears to be protected by obsolete technology compared to our capabilities. Lyrelay smiled as she reviewed the tactical data on her command display. Earth looked exactly as intelligence had predicted, with a small home defense force that posed no real threat to the Alliance armada. The humans had clearly concentrated their military assets in the colonies that had already been destroyed. This final battle would be brief and decisive. Captain Lisa Morgan watched from her detention cell as Alliance officers celebrated their approaching victory. The human prisoner had spent days trying to convince her captors that they were making a fatal error. Her warnings had been dismissed as desperate attempts to save her homeworld. None of the alien commanders understood that Earth had been preparing for this confrontation for over a century. "You still do not understand what you are facing," Lisa said to the elven guard outside her cell. "Earth is not defenseless. We have been watching and learning while you conquered primitive species. Today you will discover what humans can do when we stop pretending to be weak." The guard laughed at the human's words. "Your planet has no fleet, Captain. Our sensors would detect any significant military presence. Earth will surrender when they see our armada, or we will destroy their cities until they submit. Either way, this war ends today." Lisa turned away from the guard and looked out the small window at the stars. She knew that somewhere in the darkness, Earth's true defenders were waiting. The Dreadnought fleet had been humanity's greatest secret for 50 years. 12 massive ships built with technology that surpassed anything the Alliance possessed. Today, the galaxy would learn that humans were not the primitive species they appeared to be. Aboard the EDS Leviathan, Admiral Kate Sullivan watched the Alliance fleet approach Earth's orbital zone. The enemy formation was impressive but predictable. Alliance commanders relied on overwhelming firepower and superior numbers rather than innovative tactics. They had never faced an opponent with technology that could match their own capabilities. "Admiral, enemy fleet is maintaining standard approach pattern," reported her tactical officer. "They show no awareness of our presence. All dreadnoughts are in position and ready to engage on your command." Kate nodded as she prepared to spring the trap. That had been decades in the making. The Alliance had become comfortable with their position as the dominant power in the galaxy. They expected weaker species to submit when faced with superior force. Humans had different ideas about surrender and submission. Captain Nicole Hayes received final status reports from her crew aboard the EDS Titan. Her ship was positioned behind the approaching Alliance fleet where it could attack their rear formations, while other dreadnoughts struck from different angles. The gravity manipulation drives would allow rapid repositioning during combat, while adaptive armor provided protection against return fire. "Captain, all weapons are armed and targeting solutions are locked," her tactical officer announced. "The quantum torpedo tubes are loaded and gravity cannons are charged to maximum power. We are ready to engage multiple targets simultaneously." Nicole felt the tension on her bridge as they prepared for humanity's most important battle. Every person aboard the Dreadnought understood that failure meant the end of human independence. Earth would become another conquered world ruled by alien overlords. Success would establish humanity as a major power capable of challenging the established galactic order. Commander Beth Williams monitored Alliance communications from her intelligence station. The enemy commanders were discussing occupation plans and territorial divisions as if the battle was already won. Their arrogance would be their downfall when they discovered that Earth had teeth sharp enough to bite back. "Admiral, Alliance fleet commanders are ordering final approach to Earth orbit," Beth reported. They are transmitting surrender demands and threatening orbital bombardment if Earth does not comply. Admiral Lyrelei expects immediate capitulation. Kate smiled coldly as she listened to the alien demands. The Alliance had attacked human colonies and killed innocent civilians. They had come to Earth expecting an easy victory over a supposedly primitive species. Instead, they would face the most advanced warships humanity had ever built. The Alliance fleet moved into Earth's orbital zone with weapons charged and shields raised. Lyrelei prepared to broadcast surrender terms to the human government while her ships took positions for planetary bombardment. The campaign that had started with the destruction of the colonies would end with Earth's submission to Alliance authority. Zarathis coordinated the final approach as Alliance ships surrounded the planet. Her sensors showed only minimal activity from Earth's defense satellites and patrol craft. The human homeworld appeared to be completely helpless against the assembled might of 12 galactic civilizations. Victory seemed certain and inevitable. "Admiral, we are in position to begin orbital bombardment," Zarathis announced. "All fleet units report ready to engage planetary targets. Shall I open communications with Earth's government to deliver surrender terms?" Lyrelei nodded as she prepared to end the war with humanity. "Open a channel to Earth. Let them know they have one opportunity to surrender before we begin destroying their cities." The communication system activated and Admiral Lyrelei's image appeared on screens throughout Earth's orbital zone. Her silver hair and pointed ears marked her as one of the elven nobles who had ruled the galaxy for centuries. Her voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed without question. "This is Admiral Lyrelei of the Galactic Alliance, speaking to the government of Earth," she announced. "Your colonies have been destroyed and your fleet has been eliminated. You are surrounded by over 200 warships capable of reducing your planet to ash. Surrender immediately, and your people will be treated with mercy. Refuse, and we will demonstrate why the Alliance has maintained peace for 1,000 years. Checked. Response came not from Earth's government, but from Admiral Kate Sullivan aboard the EDS Leviathan. Her voice was calm and steady as she delivered humanity's answer to the alien ultimatum. "This is Admiral Sullivan of the Earth Defense Force. You have attacked our colonies and murdered our citizens. We reject your demands for surrender. Instead, we offer you one chance to withdraw from our system before we demonstrate why humanity should never be underestimated." Lyrelei felt surprise and anger at the human response. No species had ever rejected Alliance demands when faced with such overwhelming force. The humans were either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish. Either way, they would learn the price of defying galactic authority. "Your bravery is admirable, Admiral Sullivan, but futile," Lyrelei replied. "You have no fleet capable of challenging our armada. Surrender now or watch your world burn." Kate's response was simple and direct. "Admiral Lyrelei, you are about to discover that Earth has been preparing for this day. Your intelligence was incomplete. Our true fleet has been waiting for you." At that moment, space around the Alliance formation began to shimmer as 12 massive shapes decloaked from stealth. The human dreadnoughts appeared like metal mountains emerging from darkness. Each ship was larger than anything in the Alliance fleet with weapons that glowed with barely contained energy. The silence on Admiral Lyrelei's bridge was complete as her crew stared at the massive human ships that had appeared around their fleet. The 12 dreadnoughts dwarfed even the largest Alliance vessels with hulls that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange energy patterns flickered along their surfaces while weapon ports glowed with threatening power. Zarathis felt her crystalline skin shift to deep purple as fear replaced her earlier confidence. Her sensors were struggling to analyze the human ships, which seemed to use technology that defied conventional physics. The readings made no sense according to everything the Alliance knew about starship design and construction. "Admiral, these vessels are not showing up properly on our sensors," Zarathis reported with uncertainty in her voice. "Their hulls appear to be made of some kind of adaptive material, and the energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases. Each ship is over 3 kilometers long and massing more than our largest carriers." Lyrelei tried to maintain her composure as she studied the tactical display. The human fleet had appeared from nowhere using stealth technology that was supposedly impossible. Alliance scientists had declared such systems theoretically unfeasible, yet here they were facing ships that had hidden in plain sight. Her 200-vessel armada suddenly seemed much smaller. "All ships maintain formation," Lyrelai commanded. "These are just larger human vessels with better hiding technology. Numbers still favor the Alliance. We will destroy them with concentrated fire and complete our mission." Captain Lisa Morgan pressed against her cell window, watching the Alliance fleet react to the appearance of Earth's true defenders. She had tried to warn them, but alien arrogance had prevented them from listening. Now they would learn that humans were far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. The Dreadnoughts represented 50 years of secret development and technological advancement. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood calmly on her bridge as Alliance ships began targeting her fleet. The enemy formation was exactly where human tactical planners had predicted it would be, surrounded and positioned for maximum vulnerability to the weapons that Earth had spent decades perfecting. The Alliance had walked into a carefully prepared trap. "All ships report ready for engagement, Admiral," announced her tactical officer. "The Alliance fleet is charging weapons and raising shields. They appear to be preparing for a coordinated assault on our position." Kate nodded as she prepared to give the order that would begin humanity's first major space battle. "All Dreadnoughts engage at will. Show them what Earth's children can do when we stop playing games." The first Alliance salvo lit up space as hundreds of energy beams and missiles struck the human ships. Plasma cannons that could melt asteroids and quantum torpedoes capable of cracking planetary crusts unleashed their fury against the Dreadnought fleet. The concentrated firepower was enough to destroy a dozen normal fleets, but the human vessels seemed to absorb the attacks without significant damage. Captain Nicole Hayes watched from the bridge of the EDS Titan as enemy fire struck her ships. Adaptive armor. The smart material analyzed each incoming attack and adjusted its molecular structure to provide better protection. Energy beams that should have burned through her hull barely scratched the surface while missiles exploded harmlessly against barriers that learned from each impact. "Captain, adaptive armor is functioning perfectly," reported her tactical officer. "Enemy weapons are becoming less effective with each salvo. The armor is learning to counter their attack patterns and energy frequencies. Hull integrity remains at 98%. Nicole smiled as she gave the order to return fire. "All weapons engage designated targets. Show the Alliance what real firepower looks like." The EDS Titan's response was devastating as quantum torpedoes phased through Alliance shields and detonated inside enemy hulls. The weapons used dimensional variance technology to bypass conventional defenses and strike at the heart of enemy vessels. Elven cruisers that had seemed invincible moments before began breaking apart from internal explosions. Aboard the EDS Leviathan Chief Engineer Amy Torres coordinated the fleet's weapons systems as gravity cannons began firing. The massive weapons created localized distortions in spacetime that crushed Alliance ships like insects. Crystal vessels with their geometric designs crumpled as gravity fields compressed their hulls beyond structural limits. The technology was beyond anything the galaxy had seen before. "Admiral, gravity cannons are performing excellently," Amy reported. "We are achieving direct hits on multiple targets, and the adaptive armor is providing complete protection against return fire. The Alliance fleet is taking significant casualties while we remain essentially undamaged." Zarathis watched in horror as her fleet began disintegrating under the human assault. Ships that had dominated the galaxy for centuries were being destroyed by weapons that seemed to ignore the laws of physics. Her crystalline skin had turned pale white, indicating complete shock and terror. Nothing in Alliance military doctrine had prepared them for this kind of technological disparity. "Admiral, we are losing ships faster than we can replace them," Zarathis reported, with panic creeping into her voice. "The human weapons are bypassing our shields completely, and our return fire is having minimal effect. Their armor seems to be adapting to our attack patterns in real time." Lyrelai felt her confidence crumbling as she watched the finest fleet in galactic history being systematically destroyed by 12 human ships. The Alliance had ruled through superior technology and overwhelming force, but now they faced an enemy with capabilities that surpassed their own. Her 200-ship armada was being reduced to scrap metal and debris. Commander Beth Williams tracked the battle from her intelligence station while coordinating targeting data between the Dreadnoughts. Human technology allowed real-time analysis of alliance tactics and immediate adaptation of countermeasures. Every move the enemy made was predicted and countered before it could be executed. Admiral Alliance fleet is attempting to regroup, Beth reported. They are pulling back damaged vessels and concentrating their remaining ships for a focused assault. Estimated combat effectiveness is down to 60% and falling rapidly. Kate watched the Alliance formation begin to collapse as their commanders realized they were facing superior technology. Decades of careful planning and secret development had given humanity advantages that no galactic power could match. The colonies had been sacrificed to maintain the deception, but their loss was being avenged with compound interest. The battle continued as more Alliance ships fell victim to human weapons. Gravity cannons crushed formations while quantum torpedoes destroyed vessels from within. Point defense systems using directed energy eliminated incoming missiles before they could reach their targets. The Dreadnought fleet moved through space like apex predators hunting weaker prey. Captain Nicole Hayes coordinated her ship's assault on an Alliance battle group that was trying to escape the engagement zone. The EDS Titan's weapons locked onto multiple targets simultaneously, while her crew worked with mechanical precision. Years of training and simulation had prepared them for exactly this kind of combat. Captain, we have destroyed 15 enemy vessels and damaged 12 others, her tactical officer reported. The Alliance ships in our sector are attempting to retreat, but our gravity drives are allowing us to maintain contact. They cannot escape our weapons range. Nicole felt satisfaction as she watched enemy ships try desperately to flee from her guns. The Alliance had come to Earth expecting an easy victory over a primitive species. Instead, they had encountered humanity's most advanced technology and were learning the price of underestimating Earth's children. Admiral Lyreley realized that her fleet was facing complete annihilation if the battle continued. More than half her ships were destroyed or disabled while the human dreadnoughts remained essentially undamaged. The impossible had happened, and the Alliance was losing to what they had considered an inferior species. All ships prepare for emergency withdrawal, Lyreley commanded. We cannot continue this engagement. The human technology is beyond our ability to counter. Zarathis looked at her commander with shock. Admiral, we cannot retreat. The Council of 12 will demand answers. How do we explain that 12 human ships defeated the entire Alliance fleet? Lyreley stared at the tactical display showing the wreckage of her armada. We tell them the truth. Humanity has been hiding their real capabilities. These are not the primitive beings we thought we were fighting. Earth has become a major galactic power and we never realized it. Admiral Lyreley stood alone on her bridge, watching the final moments of what had been the greatest fleet in galactic history. Her flagship was one of only 30 Alliance vessels still capable of movement, while human dreadnoughts continued their systematic destruction of anything that showed hostile intent. The impossible had become reality, and the Alliance faced complete defeat at the hands of a species they had dismissed as primitive. Zarathis worked desperately at her tactical station, trying to coordinate the retreat of surviving ships. Her crystalline skin had turned completely white, indicating total submission and defeat. The crystal being had never experienced such overwhelming technological superiority, and her mind struggled to process what she had witnessed. Human weapons that ignored physics and armor, that learned from attacks, were beyond anything in Alliance. Science! Admiral! We have lost over 170 ships, Zarathis reported with a broken voice. The remaining vessels are requesting permission to surrender. Their commanders report critical damage and depleted weapons. We cannot continue fighting. Lyreley felt the weight of the worst military disaster in Alliance history crushing down on her shoulders. She had commanded the finest fleet ever assembled and watched it be destroyed by 12 human ships. The elven admiral, who had expected easy victory, now faced the humiliation of total defeat. Her career and reputation were as shattered as her. Fleet Captain Lisa Morgan watched from her detention cell as Alliance officers moved with the defeated posture of those who had seen the impossible. The human prisoner felt satisfaction knowing that her warnings had been proven correct. Earth's secret had been revealed, and the galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had announced its arrival as a major power in the most dramatic way possible. Admiral, Kate Sullivan observed the Alliance fleet's final collapse with professional satisfaction. 50 years of secret development and careful planning had achieved exactly the results that Earth's strategists had hoped for. The Alliance would never again underestimate human capabilities or threaten human worlds with impunity. The balance of galactic power had shifted permanently. "Admiral, the Alliance fleet is requesting terms for surrender," reported her communications officer. "Admiral Lyrelai wishes to discuss cessation of hostilities and withdrawal of Alliance forces from human space." Kate nodded as she prepared to dictate terms that would establish humanity's position in the galactic community. "Open a channel to the Alliance flagship. Let us hear what they have to say." Admiral Lyrelai appeared on the main screen looking older than her centuries of age. Her silver hair was disheveled, and her normally perfect uniform showed signs of the stress she had endured. The proud elven commander who had arrived expecting victory now faced the reality of total defeat. "Admiral Sullivan, I formally request cessation of hostilities," Lyrelai said with as much dignity as she could maintain. "The Alliance fleet surrenders to Earth forces. We acknowledge that we underestimated human capabilities and wish to discuss terms for ending this conflict." Kate studied the defeated alien commander before responding. "Admiral Lyrelai, your forces attacked our colonies and killed our civilians. You came to Earth expecting to force our surrender. Now you wish to negotiate, after losing most of your fleet. Why should humanity show mercy to those who showed none to us?" Lyrelai swallowed her pride as she faced the consequences of Alliance arrogance. "Because continued fighting will only result in more unnecessary deaths. The Alliance accepts that we misjudged the situation. Earth has proven its strength and deserves recognition as a galactic power." Captain Nicole Hayes listened to the surrender negotiations from the bridge of the EDS Titan. Her ship had personally destroyed 23 Alliance vessels during the battle while taking minimal damage. The human Dreadnoughts had performed beyond their designers' most optimistic projections and established Earth's technological superiority beyond question. "Captain, what are your orders regarding the disabled Alliance ships?" her tactical officer asked. "Some of them still have weapons capability and could pose a threat if they choose to resume fighting." Nicole considered the tactical situation before responding. "Maintain targeting locks, but do not fire unless they show hostile intent. Let Admiral Sullivan handle the diplomatic aspects. Our job is to make sure they understand the consequences of breaking any agreement they make." Commander. Beth Williams analyzed Alliance communications traffic as their commanders struggled to understand what had happened to their fleet. Reports were being transmitted across the galaxy describing human technology that seemed impossible. The psychological impact of the defeat would be as important as the military victory in establishing Earth's position. "Admiral Alliance commanders are sending reports to their home worlds describing our capabilities," Beth announced. "Word of their defeat is spreading throughout their territory. The Council of 12 is demanding immediate explanations for the loss of their fleet." Kate felt satisfaction knowing that the Alliance would never again view humanity as an easy target. Earth had revealed its strength at the perfect moment when the enemy was completely committed and could not retreat. The lesson would be remembered for generations. Chief Engineer Amy Torres monitored the Dreadnought fleet as they maintained position around the defeated Alliance forces. All 12 ships remained fully operational with their advanced systems functioning perfectly. The adaptive armor had evolved during combat to provide nearly complete protection, while the gravity weapons had exceeded all performance specifications. "Admiral, all systems are green across the fleet," Amy reported. "We are ready to continue operations or begin recovery procedures as ordered. The Dreadnoughts have proven themselves in combat and are prepared for whatever comes next." Zarathis worked to coordinate the Alliance withdrawal as surviving ships prepared to leave human space. Her species had served the Alliance faithfully for 8 centuries, but this defeat would change everything. The crystal beings would need to reconsider their position in a galaxy where humans had emerged as a technological superpower. "Admiral Lyrelai, the surviving ships are ready to depart," Zarathis reported. "We have recovered what survivors we could from the destroyed vessels. The fleet will require extensive repairs and replacement before it can be considered combat effective." Again, Lyrelai nodded sadly as she accepted the magnitude of the disaster. The Alliance had lost more ships in this single battle than in the previous century of conflicts. Earth had demonstrated capabilities that would force a complete revision of galactic military thinking. Humans were no longer a minor species to be ignored or easily conquered. Admiral Kate Sullivan transmitted the terms that Earth demanded for ending the conflict. Complete withdrawal of Alliance forces from all human territories, recognition of Earth as a sovereign galactic power, reparations for the destroyed colonies, and establishment of formal diplomatic relations. The terms were generous, considering the Alliance's total defeat. "These terms are acceptable, Admiral Sullivan," Lirelai replied after consulting with her remaining commanders. "The Alliance will withdraw from human space and recognize Earth's sovereignty. We request that formal negotiations be conducted to establish permanent peace between our peoples." Kate agreed to future diplomatic discussions, while making it clear that any future aggression would be met with overwhelming force. "Admiral Lirelai, you may inform the Council of 12 that Earth desires peaceful relations with all galactic species. However, any future attacks on human worlds or citizens will result in direct retaliation against Alliance territory." Captain Lisa Morgan was released from detention and transported to the EDS Leviathan, where she met with Admiral Sullivan. The former prisoner had become a symbol of human resilience and would play an important role in future diplomatic relations. Her warnings to the Alliance had been ignored, but history would remember her courage. "Captain Morgan, welcome aboard," Kate said as they met in the flagship's conference room. "Your conduct during captivity reflected well on Earth and humanity. We would like you to serve as our liaison officer during the upcoming diplomatic negotiations." Lisa accepted the assignment, knowing that she would help shape the future relationship between humanity and the galactic community. Earth had proven its strength through superior technology and tactical planning. Now they would need to prove their wisdom through careful diplomacy and measured responses to future challenges. The Alliance fleet began its withdrawal from human space, carrying news of Earth's emergence as a major galactic power. Admiral Lirelai's flagship was the last to leave, with the defeated commander taking one final look at the human dreadnoughts. She had learned a lesson that the galaxy would not soon forget about the dangers of underestimating any species. Earth's victory established humanity as a force that could challenge the established galactic order. The Dreadnought fleet took up patrol positions around human space, while diplomatic teams prepared for the complex negotiations that would determine humanity's role in galactic affairs. The age of human expansion had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.